My bookshelves look so empty right now, it's crazy. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. We're going to do a video that was very popular a little bit ago, going through my entire physical TBR. I don't think I'm going to have an insane amount because I am still sort of pulling together my shelves. I have these 3 shelves. I have a shelf on the bottom of this bookshelf, and then I have my shelves over there, and then I have my TBR shelf over there. So I'm gonna guess I have around maybe like 50 or less. I don't think I'm gonna have that many, but we are gonna go through them. So I went on like a little bit of a book buying ban, just like soft book buying ban, where I just tried not to buy as many because I wanted to start getting through my physical TBR. But I've definitely accumulated some books that I have had for like a year and have not read yet. So we're gonna go through them. I already know that I'm getting more books. They're already on the way. So anyway, as of right now, September 2023, we are going to go through my full physical TBR. We are going to start off with these big shelves and this shelf up here. First, we have these 3, which is Flawless, Powerless, and Reckless. These 3 are part of the Chestnut Spring series. I am just missing Heartless, I believe, by Elsie Silver. This is such a popular book series, and I just needed to get these mirror covers before she stopped making them. I don't have Heartless, that is the one that I don't have, but I do have these 3. It's like a cowboy romance series. I think there's 4 out right now, and the 5th one is coming out later on this year. So I'm definitely gonna be adding that. But those are our first 3. Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. This is the second book in the Knock 'Em Out trilogy, which Things We Left Behind literally just came out like 2 days ago. So I'm definitely gonna be getting that one on there. But right now, I've read Things We Never Get Over. So now we have Things We Hide from the Light. And this is Nash's, which is Knox's brother. It's his love story. I think I'm gonna be reading this one soon. I'm actually in the middle of another Lucy Score book. Her books are just thick, so they take me a while to get through. And this cover is just beautiful. One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is when I was in my Taylor Jenkins Reid era. I read Malibu Rising, I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and Daisy Jones and the Six. I bought this one because it became a movie, and I really wanted to see the movie because it has one of my favorite actors in it, the guy from Shang-Chi. I don't know how to say his name. It's like Simu Liu or something like that. But it has him in it, and I really want to see it. And then also has the girl who played the wife in Hamilton. So I really want to see that movie, but I want to read the book first. Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This book came out a few months ago, and it became really popular and was talked about a lot because they talk about like guys' mental health in this, which I feel like a lot of books don't as much. And I think it's the second book after Part of Your World, except it has to deal with a different couple entirely. So you don't have to read the first book to read the second book, but I think there might be spoilers for the first book if you read this book before Part of Your World. So that's kind of why I've been holding off on this one. But it looks really cute. It's basically this doctor wants to get a promotion, but then this new guy comes in and seems very stuck up and snobby, and he gets a promotion, and she like doesn't like him immediately. But then he writes her a letter like apologizing and explaining his, I think he has like social anxiety or something. So then they start exchanging letters back and forth. Hopefully I'll read Part of Your World and then this one soon. Then we have Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. And I actually have the physical version, and I also bought the Kindle version. I don't know why I did that. But this is the first book in the Addicted series, which was a super popular found family romance series. I never actually got around to reading it. I think I got like a couple chapters in, but then I never finished reading it. Patiently waiting on my shelf for when I'm in the mood to get into another found family type romance. And then we have the book 2, book 3, book 4, and 2 novellas of the Shatter Me series. So I am going to be doing a whole video on just reading the Shatter Me series, and I only have the next 5 books. I think there's like 3 more books that I still have to get, but I have these 5. We have Unravel Me, Unite Me, Ignite Me, Restore Me, and Find Me. So I am excited to get reading of these books, but I think I have a reading vlog out of Shatter Me, and I loved that book. I loved getting into that world, so I just had to go out and buy a bunch of other books in that world, and once I actually get started reading these, I will buy the rest of the series. I feel like this is a very fall series. Like, I'm definitely going to dive into it in the fall, and it makes me so excited. It's just had gotten so popular just randomly for the past few months. I feel like it's been so popular, and I think it's a young adult series, but it's like dystopian type thing. Also, I love the covers. The covers are all so beautiful. And then next we have this big brick, A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This is the last book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I read the first 4 books. I don't know what's putting me off reading this book. Maybe it's just the sheer size. Maybe it's because the change of point of view from the first 3 books, but I don't know what it is, but it's definitely intimidating, and I have not read it yet. My goal is to definitely read it this fall. This feels like a fall book, so definitely maybe in like September or October, maybe even November, I want to be reading this book. But right now it's just sitting here. It's 757 pages. That's so many pages. I can't do it right now. I can't. And then we have House of Earth and Blood, a Crescent City novel by Sarah J. Maas, which is another one of Sarah J. Maas's series, the Crescent City series, and it has a second book out. I'm actually going to get the paperback version. It's coming in a couple of weeks, but I held off on getting the hardcover version of the second book of this series because I wanted them both to like match, because the hardcover version is just like insanely taller compared to this one, and I don't think it looked as nice. So I'm waiting for the paperback version for the second book. I don't really know what this book is about. I think it's her most recent series. It's huge. I loved her story building. I love her storytelling in the ACOTAR series, so I am very excited to read this book. The last Sarah J. Maas book we have is A Throne of Glass. This is the first book in the Throne of Glass series, which I think is her earliest series. I think. I just have the first one ready and waiting for me when I'm ready to get into like another like 7-8 book series. I need to tackle the Shatter Me series before I get into this series, but I just wanted to have it if I felt in the mood to read it. And this also has gotten super insanely popular lately, so I am very much looking forward to this one as well, but I'm just not ready to pick it up yet, because that's a whole world. The third book in the Never After series, this is Wretched, which is a Wizard of Oz fractured fairy tale retelling. Emily McIntyre writes these Never After books. I read the first 2 books, Hooked and Scarred, and she writes these books from the villain's point of view of our favorite fairy tales. So this one is from Wizard of Oz, and I think it's about the Wicked Witch of the West, and she has a lot of little Easter eggs in there that is an allusion to the original fairy tale. This girl's name is Evelina Westerly instead of like the Wicked Witch of the West. I want to get reading it soon because I want to move on to the next couple books, because Cross just came out, which is the 5th book, and I heard that one was just even better than Hooked and Scarred, and I loved Hooked and Scarred, so I want to get through Wretched and then Twisted so I can get to Cross. The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I read one of her books before and I really liked her writing. It's like an older fantasy novel. I think it's a trilogy. It's the first book of that trilogy, The Cruel Prince. Again, I'm kind of saving the fantasies for the fall winter time. This screams winter to me, so I'm gonna hold off on this until the winter time. And then my most recent addition is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This book has taken on a life of its own. I feel like this book is almost, if not completely, at the same level as Fourth Wing was. Everyone is talking about this book, and I think it's really cool because it's like it's a romance, but it has fantasy elements. I think that the gods get involved and stuff like that, and I love things like that. I am very excited to read this book as well. My friend just read this and she was obsessed with it. She said it's amazing, and I think the second one is coming out next month. So I definitely want to read this one soon, but I'm just waiting because the hype is just so crazy. Like, I'm scared. Like, I'm scared of this book because the hype is so crazy. That's our first and second shelves, and then moving on to this shelf down here. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garba. This is another book that was so popular a few months ago, but it is the start of a, I think, trilogy, sort of like the sequel trilogy to the Caraval series, and I'm going to read the Caraval series first. That's on my TBR for this month. Actually, if you want to go watch my TBR prompt jar video, Caraval is on that. So I'm gonna get through that trilogy, and then I can't wait to read this one. This is beautiful. First of all, it's beautiful, and I heard it was so good, and I just needed to have it because it was gorgeous. Daisy Hates The Great Undoing by Jessa Hastings. This is my favorite series of all time, and this is the 4th book. I'm very much taking my time to get through this series because I don't want it to end, but I think the 5th book is coming out at the end of this year. So I'm gonna get through these 2. This is the 2nd book in Daisy Hates' storyline. I hear that we get a lot more into Julian's point of view in this book. He was like okay in the first Daisy Hates book. Like I liked him, but he wasn't like a super main character. He gets to be like a really main character, I feel like, in this book, and you get more of a glimpse into his like love life and stuff like that. So I'm excited to read this book. I am just waiting. This is another series that I am very much taking my time to go through. We have a bunch of books over here. We have Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. This book was super popular, but now I feel like I kind of waited a little bit where it's like getting free fall time and I don't really want to read a summer romance, and I just waited too long, so this might have to wait until next year. I heard mixed reviews on this one, so I wasn't like super excited to read it. I've been holding off. And then we have Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This is the first book in the Twisted series. I think it has 4 books. And this is another very popular romance series. I like to pick up the first books in a lot of series that I'm interested in, just to like sort of keep them on my mind. And when I feel the need to start reading them, I can just like grab this first book and then order the next one. I'm excited to read this book. And then I have another Anna Huang book, King of Wrath, which I think this is the first book in the Kings of Sin series. I think her other book she has out right now is called King of Pride, but I just have King of Wrath. And I think it's sort of like, it's her newest series. Like, I think it's like a mafia romance, actually. That'll be good. That'll be good in like the winter time. Tell Me Lies by Carola Lovering. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know that much about this book at all. I just know that it's also a Hulu series, and I see it advertised all the time, even now. So I picked up the book. The End Honeymooners by Christina Lauren, another very popular summery romance read. Basically, I think Olive and Ethan are like the best man and maid of honor at a wedding, and then everyone at the wedding, including the bride and groom, gets food poisoning. So they're the only ones that don't get food poisoning. They end up like going on the bride and groom's honeymoon and like pretending they're on a honeymoon, so it's sort of like fake dating. And then I have 2 books in Tessa Bailey's series. I don't know what this series is called, but this is I think the second and third book. The first book is Too Hot to Handle. This is a football romance, I think, and this is like an opposites attract romance. Priest by Sierra Simone. I just know that this book is spicy. That's all I know about it. It had a moment when I was on dark romance TikTok, and it was just constantly mentioned, and it intrigued me, so I have this book waiting for me when I'm in the mood for that type of vibe. 2 Ali Hazelwood books, Love Theoretically and The Love Hypothesis. This book was super popular again a few months ago, and this book just came out recently. Everyone loves Ali Hazelwood, and I never read any of her romances, but she's like the queen of writing women in STEM romances. So I think I'm gonna read this book and then this book, because that's like the order they came out. And there is one more that I'm missing called Love on the Brain, but I just have these 2 first. And then the last book on this shelf we have is The Natural. I did just start this book, but I'm only on like chapter 2, so I'm gonna consider it on my physical TBR, by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, who wrote the Inheritance Games series. And I love that series. I read it in the beginning of the year and I loved it so much. I devoured it. It's getting so much popularity right now, so I'm gonna read it while it's popular to like get me into it. It's basically about these very talented teenagers. They get hired by the FBI to solve like cold cases, and there's nothing special about them besides they're just very talented in different ways. They're not like supernatural in any way, but I love the way that Jennifer Lynn Barnes writes series that are very, very fast paced, and she always has the best plot twists, and it all comes together so well in the end. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one. And then moving down here, this is gonna be a task. Hold on. Oh my goodness, these are heavy. These are the books that are on my bottom shelf, my Harry Potter shelf. These are the first 5 Harry Potter books. Ooh. And they're like the Target special editions that are illustrated. Like this is Order of the Phoenix, and it's huge and it's gorgeous because it's all like illustrated, but it's, you know, the normal books. But I did get these special editions because I love Harry Potter. I don't know if I said this before on this channel, but I'm obsessed with Harry Potter. I love it so, so much, and I am going to reread the series because I read it when I was back in like high school or something, and I want to reread the series because whenever fall rolls around, it's like without fail I watch all the Harry Potter movies, and this time my friend is reading them for the first time, so I am going to read them along with her, and then we're gonna have a Harry Potter marathon in the end, and I'm just so, so excited. But these are the 5 books that I'm gonna consider on my TBR, even though I already read all of them. They're like the special editions that I haven't read yet. So those are our last 5 books on this shelf. That was a lot, and I have 2 more shelves to go. Alright, so my camera died, and even though I was very much trying to avoid it, I did end up putting all of my books out here because the bookshelf, it just wasn't working. My bookshelves look so empty right now. It's crazy. This lighting is a little bit different. The light is behind me, so we don't have too many more books to go through, so hopefully this is okay. But the next book is This Living Kingdom by Tahira Mafi. She is the author of the Shatter Me series, which is also on my TBR. I think it's a duology, and it's another famous series of hers, and everyone that loved the Shatter Me series liked this one as well, so I picked it up. Also, it's thundering out, so if you hear that, I'm sorry. Next, we have, Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. This was like, oh, that's my cat's tunnel, by the way. But this was like early middle school, high school, very popular book. Before TikTok was even a thing, this book was popular, and I haven't read it, and I think I actually borrowed it from my cousin, and I've had it for 10 years now. So, you know, I should just get around to reading it or give it back to her. It's a young adult book, and it's a little romance. The next books I have are from my recent TBR video, my TBR prompt jar. So if you want more information on them, go watch that one. But we have The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. We have Final Offer by Lauren Asher. We have The Mistake by Elle Kennedy, part of the Off-Campus series. The amazing Magnolia Park's Long Way Home by Jessa Hastings, I'm not sure how to say it, but we have this book. We have the famous Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Super famous. I'm just rushing through these because I've explained a lot about them in my last video, so I don't want to take up time doing it because my camera's about to die. Then we have Catapult by Stephanie Garber. Moving on to this stack, we have Adulting by Kelly Williams Brown. This is a very old book on my TBR shelf. It basically is written like tips for basically how to be an adult. And I got to page 56, but I'm probably going to reread it. It's just like little things like find a good tailor before you write it off his room and take it to the dry cleaner, just little things like that. So that's Adulting. And this book my mom gave me. It's Natural Health, Natural Medicine by Andrew Weil, MD. It's just a nutrition book that my mom gave me. We had The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which was again a super popular self-help book a few years, maybe even like 10 years ago. I read like one chapter of it, and it's just very densely written is the best way I could describe it. I don't know how to read this book when I'm not fully paying attention, so it takes a lot of brain power, so I am waiting on this one. We're going back here. We have Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire. This is actually a book that a friend loaned me, so I should really get to reading this and give it back to her. But it says it's soon to be a major motion picture. That's kind of fun. I'm not really sure what it's about. I do believe it's like a contemporary romance about a good girl drawn to a very bad boy. Interesting. Then we have The Selection by Kiera Cass. This is the first book in the Young Adult Selection series. Again, it was super popular during like the Hunger Games times, but I never got around to reading it, and now I'm going to get around to reading it. Hopefully soon. Two more of my prized possessions. We have Harry Potter 1 and Harry Potter 2, the Sorcerer's Stone and the Chamber of Secrets. These are more special editions. Like I said, I am obsessed with Harry Potter, and you'll find that out in the fall content coming, but this is the Mina Lena version, and it has such cool little pop-outs and designs. Like this is his letter that he gets, and it's just like a whole pop-out of his letter. Like, are you kidding me? That is gorgeous. I had to have it. Another one of my very prized possessions, and all this stuff is falling out because there's a lot of special things in here, but it is like, you know, the normal book. So I don't know if I'm going to be reading this one during my reread or the bigger illustrated versions, but these are two of my very favorite ones that I have. Come Find Me by Megan Miranda. Now this is a book that I picked up just randomly. It was on like the $5 table at BAM. It's like a thriller. It says how often the danger lurks inside our own homes, how often we let it inside. So it's a thriller, it's a mystery, and it's spooky season, and I can't wait to read it during October. Then we have Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan, another very popular romance. I read the first chapter, but it deals with a lot of intense stuff, so I want to be in the right mindset for this, but everyone says this is an amazing book, and I can't wait to read it. We have another off-campus book, The Score. So I have The Mistake on my TBR for this month, and then before it was The Deal, and I think this is the third book, The Score. And then we have 2 books that I actually got from my local library. They were on sale for like $1 each, and this is The Au Pairs and The State of Grace. They're just cute little young adult books, and I just got them for nostalgic's sake. We have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, another there's a thunder. The super popular book that has just been so famous on TikTok. So we're gonna read that one soon. Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer, which is Twilight from Edward's point of view. So I'm gonna read this during October. It just gives me that vibe. If You Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. Super sad book from what I'm told, and that is why I've been avoiding it and why it has been on my TBR for months now. I've been in the right mindset for this. This is a super sad book, but everyone thinks it's so good. So I'm just waiting for when I'm in the mood to cry. The second and third books of the Kingdom of the Wicked series, Kingdom of the Cursed and Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Maniscalco. I read the first Kingdom of the Wicked book a few months ago, and these are the next 2 books in the series. It's a fantasy series. It's a trilogy about witches and the Princess of Hell and everything like that. And it was entertaining. It was definitely entertaining, so I want to get back into that one too. Wait for You by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Honestly, I just bought this book for the cover because I thought the cover was just so simple and so pretty. I think it's a romance, but it's like a long series. It has like 8+ books in it. So this is the first book. When I'm in the mood for a good palette cleanser, I will pick this book up. This is stacks. These stacks are gonna fall down. My last 2 books. Oh my god. We finally made it to the end. My last 2 books. The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. Very famous thriller. It actually is a movie now on Apple TV, I think. So I'm gonna read this and then I'm gonna watch it. And then my last book is Ghosted by J.M. Darhauer. This has been like one of the first books that I bought from my library at this new apartment, and I've had it since the beginning of the year. Apparently is a not so well-known book, but a very good book. It's a second chance romance, I believe, and like dating a famous person type trope. Ghosted just gives me like fall vibes though, so I'm probably gonna read it during October. Oh my gosh. Finally, we're done. We are finally done with all my books. This is crazy. I'm gonna show you this picture right here of all the books that I just stacked on this couch. It is very hard to stack books on your couch, but I did it for the video, and now I have to put these all back. Should we count them? Let's count them before I put them all back. We have 66 books. That is 16 more than I thought we would have. I'm honestly surprised that I have this many books. It's not an insane number though. Some people have like 100+ books on their physical TBR. We have 66. I am definitely gonna read some more right now because that feels like a bad luck number to me. We have 66 books on my entire physical TBR, and that is going to bring us to the end of this video. I had to put all of these back on my shelves now, but this just took so much longer than I thought it would. And that is all from me today. That is my entire physical TBR. I am definitely gonna get reading some right now to make room for more books. That is it from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.